Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Chaosium. My guess is this isn't on Twitch. You're probably watching this on the Chaosium YouTube. I am Chaosium's community coordinator, Bridgett Jeffries, and I am back with another A. Oh, Drew, listen, I'm going to be flirting with Drew the entire show, so just everyone get real comfortable with that now. Drew is one of my babies. We are back with another AMA. If you have not watched the AMA for the Sutra of Pale Leaves, I highly suggest that you do so. However, you do not need to watch that AMA to enjoy this upcoming AMA that we have with the Sutra of Pale Leaves, the Carcosa Manifest. Now, I have got a rock star crew on with me right now to help navigate some of the questions that you guys sent through our link that we posted on our socials. So before we even jump into this delicious, gorgeous content that's shining up from the floor at me, let us do a round of introductions. We are first going to start with the love of my life, Keris. Keris, tell us who you are and what you do.
Hi, I'm Keris McDonald. I am an associate line editor for Chaosium, and it was my job to edit both volumes together as a thing. So my job was, well, I got the fun bit. I was like almost like first keeper, having a look, reading through the whole campaign, trying to work out how I'd run it, what would work. Then I had to go into complete forensic detail about, whether clues worked or whether we needed more detail here or perhaps a few more illustrations there. Do people
Oh,
remember what pages look like? Yeah, we need a picture of a page, that sort of thing. So yeah, I got the fun bit of trying to run this thing sort of virtually in my head, and try and pull everything together into the finished product.
oh my God, that is so much more than just a line by line edit. That is so, like you said, that's like forensic. That is surgical. That is a
I get the best
wow.
job.
And you do it well.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Listen, Karis is a rock star. Karis does a lot of things well. Wait until y'all see some of her cosplay if you haven't already. Oh my God. Jason, welcome back to another AMA, baby. Hit us, baby. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Thank you, thank you. I'm so, happy to be here. I'm Jason Sheets, and I am a partner at Sons of the Singularity, and Sutra is kind of my baby. And the best part about it is I got to reach out to all the talented authors in my environment, in my community, like Drew, and we let him go to work and produce this great work, Sutra of Pale Leaves.
And that is an amazing transition to like send the introductions over to Drew. Drew, who I completely fell in love with as he was a guest at Chaos and Come Australia. I might have been a fangirl before then, but I really fell in love with Drew then. Baby, hit us, tell us who you are and what you do.
My name's Andrew Montgomery, Drew to my friends and especially Bridget. I have lived in Japan for about 23 years now. I teach a university here, but I moonlight as a writer of game books. I wrote a lot for RuneQuest,
Mm-hmm.
and through the Suns, I've written quite a bit through for Call of Cthulhu, which I was thrilled to do. So that's it.
Amazing.
Drew,
Oh,
we
that's
have
not it,
matching
honey.
plushies.
Wait,
Hmm?
plushies?
We have matching
Oh,
plushies,
we have
Drew.
matching plushes. Yes, yeah, we both have Tulu. Yeah, so there we go.
Bruh. And we have now peaked out on this AMA. There's nothing that's going to be better than that moment.
No. Yeah. Oh well, that's it.
Matching plushies. Oh, I love it. Okay, now, family, you guys already kind of touched on this one. I'm going to go in reverse order. So I'm going to get Drew, Jason, and then jump over to Karis. But let's slow down and kind of look at this at a more intimate levels. What were your individual contributions to the book? And we're going to start with Drew.
Okay. Well, so I actually, this was the first thing that Jason and the Sons reached out to me on. I ended up doing more with them after, but um, Jason and his partner, Jesse, came to me with a pitch. And I mean, when these guys put together a pitch, they put together a pitch. I mean, it was a whole
Oh,
slideshow and everything. I mean, it was just pretty freaking amazing. And they had this fantastic idea of let's take the King in Yellow, let's take Hastur, that whole mythos, and we're going to put it in 1980s Japan, which
Mm,
was, an incredibly decadent time over here. And, sort of revisit it and reimagine it. And, there were a couple of things that I just immediately had to say yes to. I mean, the first thing was I was familiar with their previous work, and these guys had done all of their stuff in Asia, and they got Asia right,
mm,
which is something that a lot of Westerners don't always do. But they've been over here long enough, and they use local talent,
mm.
so that was a plus. But then just the pitch, and I'll let Jason speak about this, but I mean the approach that they were taking to how Hastur, or the Pale Prince, works, and how it was different from the mainstream mythos and all that. I was just on board, and then they were just sort of like giving me free rein to pick what I wanted to write about. So I mean,
Ooh.
so yeah, there's no way I could resist it. So yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, and then so beautiful articulation, by the way, there, Drew. So then they reach out to you with the pitch. You agree, you're sold, you're on, and then you contributed one of the scenarios, correct?
Right. I wrote one of the scenarios, Wonderland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and
So,
that's
and
beautiful.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, we can go into it now or later or whatever, because, maybe we should get to Jason first. But I mean, yeah, for me, I just sort of immediately knew what I wanted to do with the angle they were coming to the
Yeah.
King in Yellow with. I knew that I wanted it to be a sort of psychedelic Alice in Wonderland sort of journey. So yeah, yeah.
Oh, perfect. So what we'll do is we'll wrap through the individual contributions and then we'll immediately jump into the scenarios and then we can kind of do a dive into them. And for personal reasons, I'm actually really excited to hear about these because my book is still in shrink wrap. So I'm excited to hear about these. Um, Jason, talk to us, baby. What were your contributions to this book? Yeah, specifically to this book here. Yeah.
Okay, so this book, so first of all, the Sutra of Pale Leaves, the entire work, was kind of my idea. I had a moment. I'm a kind of a visual thinker,
Mm,
and to be honest, it began with the color pale leaves, which in Japanese, Aokuchiba, is a very, very specific color. It's the color of decaying leaves. It's a pale greenish yellow. It's almost a puke yellow. It's pretty, but it's not really that pretty when you really start to think about this color. And this is actually the king in yellow. It's his color. And throughout the book, we used color palettes in the artwork, and this particular color is thematic. So if you flip through both of the books, you'll see this kind of yellow green color in the artwork and throughout the entire book.
yeah.
And it's also referenced and talked about in the scenarios as well. This is what I brought to the table. And I had our writers were writing material and we were playtesting it. And after running a campaign,
Hmm.
I needed to put a bow on it. I needed an epilogue. And I wrote a scenario called The Fixer, which is a homage to Robert Chambers' The Repairer of Reputations. And if you pick it up, you'll read it. And as I mentioned, it's kind of an epilogue. Really, it's one last bite at the apple. And
Oh.
and actually, when I submitted it, I believe Keris had some choice words for it. Keris called it as crazy as a box of frogs, I think.
That's
So
accurate. Accurate though. Yeah.
I stand by that.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Okay. And Karis, you kind of did a really good job of this. Did you
Mhm.
wanted to add on anything else with your individual contributions were to these books? Or actually, I keep saying these books because I want to loop this in with the other one, but we are focusing at least on the Carcosa Manifest in this AMA.
Yeah, we are. It's really important to know that they are part of one great thing in the same
Hmm.
way that all the scenarios are part of the King in Yellow and the Prince of Pale Leaves mythos.
Hmm.
They can be used together, they can be used apart. Um, the scenarios can be used as one-offs, or they can be used as a great campaign. So just corralling the way of using a modular campaign in that manner. Yeah, I'm waiting my arms around, aren't I? I felt like that a lot of the time, like this and this.
Whoa.
Everything needs to come together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, my job was an overview and just go quietly mad in the glory of it.
Okay, Karis, this question isn't teed up in our questions, but it's a Bridgett question. I'm going to jump in with my own curiosity because that's who Bridgett is. When you're looking at, because unless I'm wrong, between the two books, there are 7 scenarios, correct? It's 4 and 3?
Yeah.
So 7 total scenarios. And when I spoke with Jason last time, he had this great articulation about these scenarios were very modular. So you could flip them, turn them, connect them however you want. I'm just curious, Karis, what tool, if anything, did you use to look at 7 pieces of work and then try to do these overlaps? Like I would go insane even trying to figure out how to approach that. Just what tool did you use, or was that just all in your head?
It was all in my head. Honestly,
Jesus.
when Mike Mason gave this to me, he said, "This is going to be the hardest thing you will ever edit for for Chaosium, just because of the complexity
Yeah.
of the connections." But it does work, it works so beautifully. And all the modules, all the scenarios are different. They have different themes, different angles, and yet they all work together.
Woo, Lord, you did all that in your head. Jesus, I would have been hunting for software or like a pin board or like
Oh,
red strings going across my office. Jesus. Okay. Okay.
You, well,
Was it the
you
hardest
know
thing
it
you
helps. The front end of the book describes the sutra itself. It describes the Pale Prince. It describes the cults and the personalities that are present in the book. And if you get a foundation, if you understand what the sutra does,
Mm-hmm.
and it does something very specific, and it does the same thing through all the scenarios, and you understand how it mutates and how it changes and evolves. Once you have that foundation, then you can run and you'll understand how all those scenarios do fit together.
Gotcha. Get your foundation set and then you can pull easily wherever you want.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Love it.
And
Oh, love it.
for Karis, I mean, Wonderland, the thing that I wrote got tucked in the second book, but it makes perfect sense to be there because Wonderland involves the internet, which didn't really arrive in Japan until the late
Mm.
80s. So it really
Okay.
couldn't have come early on, you know. So it's yeah, it was a brilliant editing choice. So there we go.
Oh.
Yeah, I think that there's some logic in the order in which it's presented. If you're going to run it from cover to cover,
Yeah.
there's a reason why we put the material where it's at. Dream Eater, the first book, is really designed to ease people into the setting. It's a very traditional look and feel. Even the
Mm-hmm.
artwork is traditional Japanese, ukiyo-e. And then as you move through the book, you get to Bridge Maiden, the first part, which is a more traditional scenario. And then you get Wonderland, which you get this great depth. And then eventually you get to Bridge Maiden 2, which feels it's climatic. It has a climax.
Okay.
And then the last scenario, the Fixer, really it feels like an epilogue. Now, you
Yeah.
don't have to run it that way, but if you wanted to run it that way, it makes perfect sense to do so.
Yeah.
And if you look at it and you're like, I like this scenario and I understand this scenario, I want to run this scenario. And this one, it doesn't really do it for me. Well, no
Yeah.
big deal. There's plenty of material there. You pick and choose and if you've got one game night, you've only got
Mm-hmm.
the ability to run one game, well, it's great because it's modular.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and not only that, if you've got multiple players and sometimes, adult life gets in the way,
Yeah.
well, that's okay. They can come back and they missed a scenario, they missed a particular interesting story, but they're still part of the group and they can still participate. And so that modular design creates a lot of flexibility for how you want to run your table.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you can a la carte it. Like that's such a fun design choice that you can hop around and not actually lose your momentum or your directionality of the story. That's actually really dope. Um,
Yep.
Jason, you're here. Let's stay here on scenarios. You've already talked about it. There's the Bridge Maiden, Wonderland, Bridge Maiden Part 2, and the Fixer. And we've teased on these, but let's just go a little bit deeper and let people tease people, let people know what they're looking at. And I'm just really excited about it. So I'm gonna have to immediately run back over here to Drew. Drew, Baby, I've been following you on social media. I hear you talking about it. I've heard other people talk about it. We've read it. Let us talk about Wonderland, please.
Okay, okay. So when the Suns came to me and they pitched this thing, they had this fantastic idea, and I want to do this without like spoiling
Mm-hmm.
too much for people. But I mean, I think it was Kenneth Haidt, the great Kenneth Haidt, who said of the Cthulhu mythos that it was sort of like mental plutonium. You were exposed to it and it destroyed your mind,
Okay.
right? But the King in Yellow works differently. It's a virus. It wants to get into your mind and rewrite your mind. Yeah, it doesn't want to destroy it. It just wants to sort of invade and install backdoors and get
Mm.
access to all of the. So once I read their pitch, I was sort of like, well, I mean, we're living in the 21st century now, even though this is set in the 20th, and we are living in the age of viruses
Mm-hmm.
and the internet brainwashing people and all of this misinformation and going down rabbit holes online. And I was like, okay, it has to be Wonderland, it has to be Alice in Wonderland, and it has to be something to do with the internet. So what I ended up doing was you've got someone who's decided to take the Sutra and present it as a text-based role-playing game.
Stop it.
Yeah, 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 a multi-user dungeon
Drew.
online. Yeah. And it gets kids to play it, and then they get sucked into it and they can't stop playing even when they get away from the keyboard. It's just sort of like, they're down the rabbit hole. And going back to the King in Yellow, I mean, there's always been, it's not explicit
Mm-hmm.
in Chambers stuff, but his characters are always sort of decadent or they're on the fringes of society.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who knows that time period, we're talking about they were drinking laudanum, which is alcohol and opium. They were drinking absinthe. They were, I mean, there was a lot of drug use going there. And so for me, the Alice in Wonderland connection was Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit, down the rabbit hole. One pill makes you larger, one pill makes you small. And that was how I dove into it. I mean, I just was sort of like, okay, this has to be a sort of metaphor of the internet as a drug,
Oof. Yeah.
ga- gaming as an addiction,
Yeah.
and escapism. And again, also a slight slight tongue-in-cheek poking fun at my own beloved hobby of RPGs, where, they are kind of like consensual drug trips, right? Where we're all just sort of playing games and going off in our imaginations and
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So, I liked the sort of edge that the Suns had put on it with this the danger of the virus getting in there and eating your mind. And that was just the way I ran with it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Drew, holy hell. That was incredible articulation. Oh, I love it. Incredible articulation. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about some of the other scenarios in the book.
Mm.
Well, let me get started on the first one, and I think Karis can fill it out better. The scenario Bridge Maiden was written by Terada-san, who
Yeah.
is a local Japanese author and in the community. And my take on the first part of the scenario is it's kind of like the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Okay.
Mm.
It has kind of there's well, I'll let Karis kind of speak to it, but maybe you can set it up without too many spoilers.
Um, okay, so can I'll just get back to a bit about the structure to make sense of this.
Mm.
Okay, so we're sort of assuming that most people who buy this book will have done it because they've bought the first one.
Yeah.
They've bought Twin Suns Rising. But there's always possibility that there will be people who pick up a book in a game store and they look at these scenarios and think, wow, this is great. I'd like to run it. But, it looks like the second half. So one of the things we've done is we've put a sort of a summary of all the campaign background at the front to make sure that people who have just got this book can go in from this end,
Okay.
that they can start here. And so they have everything they really need to know about how the whole sutra works in this book already. They don't
Okay.
need to buy a second volume. And the Bridge Maiden, which is the first scenario in the book, is a very easy in because it looks like just almost a traditional Call of Cthulhu scenario.
Okay.
It's somebody's gone missing. They have to find him. They're going through the mean streets of Tokyo to find him. And yeah, things have happened that are bad. And it's called The Bridge Maiden Part 1. It is a separate scenario to Bridge Maiden Part 2. What connects them is a figure, one of the major NPCs who appears in both.
Oh, okay.
For that, one of the things we are calling on is the sort of historical figure of the Onamusha, the warrior women back from the samurai period. There were, obviously, if you were an upper class person, if men, you were trained warriors. This was your point, but the women trained as well, and they used the naginata. This was counted as a feminine weapon, and it was used primarily as because the women were supposed to defend the castle, defend the home if the armies of the men got defeated. But also, we have quite a lot of archaeological evidence now that there were women on the battlefield fighting with them as well. So. And
And just,
so, yes, we're calling. This is who the Bridge Maiden is. We're calling back to those historic
Wow.
figures.
and just for the audiences on what Keris just said there, the Naginata, if anybody had seen the most recent, the huge, spectacular, award-winning Shogun, that famous episode where Mariko is fighting, she's fighting with a Naginata. So that's exactly what, yeah, she's talking about. So.
Woof. Okay. That's actually dope. Bridget just learned a lot from historical context and just that quick overview of the scenario. Wow. Okay. All right.
And so
So,
Treda-san took a very, very old story,
Yeah.
an old Japanese story about a bridge maiden, about a woman who defends a bridge, and plants that throughout both of his scenarios. And actually, the bridge becomes extremely important because, sure enough, in his scenario, the antagonists are building a bridge to Carcosa. And this bridge that they're building, actually, there was a bridge that was built in the 1980s called Rainbow Bridge. And in fact, if you come to Tokyo to visit us, we can take you to the bridge and you can walk across it if you'd like. And maybe you might end up in
you might,
Carcosa.
you might end up in Carcosa. You never know.
And
Yeah.
the Rainbow Bridge, of course, is the road to Valhalla in a completely different myth.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, stunning. Okay. Okay. Does that leave us with the fixer, or should we touch base on the Bridge Maiden Part 2? Or did that encompass both of them? Help me out.
I thought that without giving any more spoilers, I think that's enough to describe Bridge
Okay.
Maiden Part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
The other thing I can say is that there's fashionistas in Bridge Maiden Part
Yes,
2.
honey. Let's go. Yes, honey.
Yeah,
Let's go.
so Japanese fashion is a really important component to that scenario. So
Okay.
yeah.
So, Jason, I
The
think that brings
fixer?
us to you with the fixer. Yeah.
Yeah. The setup is your investigators are down and out, and bad things have happened. Some of
Yeah.
them have gone nuts. Some of them are, some of them have lost their homes, and terrible things have happened, right?
Hmm.
Well, there's a proposition. There's a person who comes to help the homeless and the needy, and they say, hey, if you got a little problem, you can visit the fixer. It's a person whose job is to repair reputations,
Oof.
and that's the setup. And it's not a traditional story in the sense that there's no rails on this. It's not a linear scenario at all.
Yeah.
And it can be it's really up to the investigators to decide where they want to take the story and ultimately how they want to end their campaign. Um,
Mm.
so That's the fixer.
I love it. I love that you wrote an optional add-on scenario here that's like, do you want to come somewhere where we can unbreak what we've broken in you? We're just gonna break you further, but we're gonna frame it as
Exactly.
be unbroken.
That's the proposition. Exactly.
Karis, your face was awesome. What was it? A box of frogs? What was the articulation?
Mad as a box of frogs.
That is a box of frogs. Oh, I studied. Okay, so family, this question appeared in the other AMA, but again, we're trying to stay focused on this one. Why did you choose the 1980s specifically for the time frame? And by the way, Drew, I love your previous articulation that this was just a decadent era for Japan. That was just, I'm gonna steal that and take that away from you. It's gonna be ours now. I love that articulation.
You want me to field it, Jason?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it was absolutely the right choice that they made to put it in the 80s because what you've got is before the 1980s, Japan is sort of they're rising. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're rising. They have been ever since the end of World War II. But I mean, if you look at the 70s, what you've got is Japan is known for making cheap transistor radios and rubber
Mm.
toys and all this. And then suddenly in the 80s, everyone is looking at Japan. I mean, Japan is the future. You've got science fiction writers in that period, like William Gibson, who wrote Neuromancer and the whole cyberpunk thing, setting the novels in Japan. You look at the movie Blade Runner, it's heavily Japanese because suddenly you've got they've invented the CD. They're powering ahead with all of these technologies. It's just a supercharged society that somehow this island country, the size of California, becomes the second largest economy on the face of the planet.
Damn.
And the effect that that had in Japan was total shock because they had always been a very conservative, moderate society. You don't waste things, you don't save things, you stick to the things you know. And suddenly they are flooded with cash. You've got young people who are buying Louis Vuitton and brand goods from all over the world. It becomes a status symbol. You've
Mm.
got tons of young people fleeing the countrysides and moving to urban areas to participate in this new city life which was emerging. There's revolutions in music. There's revolutions in sexuality. Many of them are good because, I mean, a lot of progress in, for example, women's rights emerged from this period as well. But
Huh.
it was just because the past was being thrown off. But at the same time, yeah, you've got a huge rise in alcoholism. You've got a huge rise in drug use, which is a big no-no in Japan. Subcultures come to the fore. This is the beginning of the whole
Mm.
otaku anime and manga subculture, of the geek culture. So it was just absolutely the right period for the King in Yellow to say,
Wow.
I think I should
You
visit
know,
Japan.
on one hand, you've got all this, you have all this excess, right? You have this
Yeah.
golden period and all this crazy things that are happening. It's also the same time that gave us faceless workers who worked themselves to death,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? The salaryman, the 20-hour workday salaryman is a direct result of this boom economy, this bubble. And
Wow.
so on one, it's exciting, it's decadent, there's really some really interesting things happening in this society, and at the same time they're struggling with balance, and the society is suffering in many ways. And
Yeah. Holy hell. Drew, you knocked that out of the park, honey.
Well,
Beautiful, beautiful articulation on that one. Wow.
I was passionate about their choice, So I mean, the minute I saw that pitch, I was like,
He was
okay,
like,
I get it.
yes,
Well, I know why
yes,
the 1980s is.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Karis and Jason, because I know you guys are looking at the sheet and Drew is not. I'm completely fine off the strength of that answer, skipping number five. Or do you guys want me to do number five? What do you guys think?
go where you want to take it.
Oh, don't
Wherever
threaten
you
me
want.
with a good time. So then I'm gonna skip right down to number six. So a fan submitted this question and they said, is there any significance in the use of the, and I'm gonna pronounce this right, the kanji?
Yeah, the kanji.
The
Yes.
kanji on the spines of the book, and they're talking about these symbols on
Yeah.
the
Uh-huh.
spines of the two books,
Joge.
which Bridgett, all jokes aside, didn't even notice. So now I need
Yeah.
an explanation on what a, did you say kanji?
Yes,
Yeah.
kanji.
I need to
Kanji,
know what
kanji.
a kanji is and if there's some significance to those bad boys on the spines.
There is. Those are Chinese characters or written pictographs. That says Joge or above and below, or in other words, first book and last book. So the books are paired. So if you look at a Japanese books are often it's very common to publish books and to break them into two pieces or multiple pieces, whether it's a book or manga, both.
Yeah,
So we've made it very easy for somebody who reads Japanese books can look at it and know it's a paired book.
Yeah.
guys, that's brilliant. And to the fan that pointed that out, that was a great question. When Bridget encountered that one, I was like, oh, that's fun. I didn't even notice that. I wonder what it means. Okay. The next question I have is, can you mismatch these scenarios to be played as a campaign, or do you need to do them in the order listed? You guys have already blown that question out of the park, which is absolutely amazing. Some fun news coming down the pipeline about that personally. Next question, and this is one of my favorite ones whenever I'm dealing with development and creators. What are your personal favorite pieces of art in the book? And I'm just going to go in the order of that we did introductions. So I'm going to start with Karis. Karis, what's one of your favorite pieces of art in the book?
Um, my favorite piece of art in the book is now I'm really sorry, I don't have a hard copy in front of me. It's the one of the Bridge Maiden done in very traditional style at the start of Bridge Maiden 1.
I
Yeah,
know the one.
Up.
The,
Jason can wave it at me.
The
yeah,
Suns
I
are on
know.
it. Look at them. They're both down. Like, got it, got it, got it. Get there, get there, get there.
It's where she's crossing the bridge, and it's the original. It's
Yes.
in the traditional.
So, Karis, while they're looking it up, what is it about this piece that you enjoy so much?
Um, I just love the colours, the way they sort of blend, and I love the style, and I love the way it calls out to Art Nouveau um,
Oh,
as well as the sort of traditional style stuff. And just the atmosphere of it. And if you look at the background detail, the more you look at it, the less traditional and the more creepy it looks.
So
oh,
there's a really important point that Karis is making about Art Nouveau and ukiyo-e. Traditional Japanese wood block prints are the origin or the reason why you have Art Nouveau. What would happen is Japan would ship China and various things, and they would wrap them in newspapers, and it would go to Europe, and they would unpack it, and the artists were like much more interested in the in the print than the ceramic because it had woodblock artwork. And
Mm.
so what happens is your Art Nouveau is derivative of your traditional Japanese woodblock print. And so
oh,
it's amazingly easy to actually overlap the styles. So the artist has done traditional woodblock approach and then put Art Nouveau borders on it.
that's brilliant. That okay. That's dope. That's brilliant. Great call out there. And thank you for showing that piece, Jason. I appreciate it. Which leads us to Jason. What's one of your favorite pieces in the book?
I just think this cover is
Yeah, the
amazing.
cover ain't no
And the
joke.
inside cover with the wraparound.
You just
The
stole my answer.
You've got these really
Jesus.
brilliant, vibrant
Yeah.
orange colors, and then it bleeds over into a blue. And then it's got the Bridge Maiden on it, and you can see she's holding, you know, the traditional weapon.
Yeah.
And it's Carcosa, obviously, right? I mean, through the ruins of Carcosa. I just think that piece is brilliant.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. I hadn't seen the inside cover again. Mine is literally still in the wrap here.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. Drew, who now has to pick another one.
No, no, Jason totally stole my answer. I was even going to show the inside cover. But I will take a moment to say that I like the art in Wonderland, even though it's not incredibly pleasing to the eye, because what they do for the art in that scenario is it all looks like that sort of dot matrix printer art that you would have seen pumped out of a
Oh,
computer in the 1980s, the
yeah.
sort of like dot 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 dot, dot so I mean that just sort of it was totally right for the scenario, but I'm going with the inside covers as well,
And,
so
and the devil whispered in his ear, "It's pretty, but is it art?"
yes.
Oh, ouch. Oh, that's good. Where is that from? That's good.
That's I believe that's Kipling.
Yeah,
Wow.
Kipling.
It's pretty, but is it art?
Yeah.
Oh, that's unnerving. I like it. I enjoyed the shiver that gave me. Guys, was there any content that you guys wrote for this book that didn't make it into the book? That anything gets scissored, cut to the drawing room floor, and didn't make it to final production? I'm looking at Karis on this one.
Okay, so there was some stuff that Drew wrote for the start of Wonderland, um, that was absolutely fascinating and I really enjoyed, but it didn't make a difference to the how the
Fair enough.
game played. So
Ah,
we did have to pare that down. And one of the things was a connection between Alice in Wonderland, between Wonderland and the fairy realm in
Hmm.
traditional European um,
oof.
folklore, which I thought was just, oh yeah, that'd be great. But that is a whole can of worms all on its own. That is a whole nother campaign, really. You could do
Yeah.
that. So
Oh,
yeah, I'm afraid that sadly had to go just for space because it was just, yeah, it could
yeah.
have gone in a completely different direction.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anything else get snipped? It's always fascinating to hear this. I love when people ask this question because I always hear like, so what didn't we get? We're just curious.
Well, it was some of the stuff that never made it to the draft, the submission draft. We're holding back. Maybe it'll
Oh.
come out sometime in the future.
Ooh. You tease.
Um,
Yeah, and to Karis's point, I think that's absolutely on point. That Yeah, I had sort of imagined that what we had was the King in Yellow through, well, the Pale Prince, as he's called in Asia, right? Sort of migrates. This version of him migrates to Great Britain through the opium trade and through like opium dens and that sort of thing.
Ooh.
And so you've got sort of the Western lore about fairy teaming up or mingling with this, but again, for a scenario focused in 1980s Japan, yeah, that should have been cut. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
We
we
blame
just
us.
pared
had to
down.
focus. That was all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the fair cut. Yeah, so
We,
yeah,
we had some ideas around yokai that just didn't make it and were not as compelling as the yokai we included,
Okay.
right? We included like Baku, which is a dream eater, and we
right.
included Noparabo, the faceless people. Well, of course, because it fits with the King in Yellow and it fits in real well. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's material out there that just wasn't tight enough, or so yeah, there's stuff we didn't include.
Yeah. And that's all part of the developmental process. It's one of the reasons we see that question again and again and again because people know that stuff hits the drawing room floor and they're always curious, like, what was it? What didn't it?
Yeah, yeah, I have this when I come to my writers, when I come to Drew and the other guys, I like to tell them, all right, here's what's going on. Here's the kind of the dark truth. This is the horrible truth that this is how it functions.
Yeah.
And what you write needs to be related to it and needs to function in this game logic in the same way. But then I say, but Drew, you're talented. Go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you give me 20 pages or give me 10 pages. I'm not going to give him a strict word count because he's going to write until it's done.
Uh.
And and if I end up with bloat, he's not going to get paid anymore. Right? So what will happen though is then we rely on people very talented editors like Karis who will tighten it up and make
Yeah.
sure that it's consistent and that things that if it goes too far, well, we just cut it a little bit.
Yeah.
And if
Redirect
it's
it, bring it
missing
back.
something, like there was some material that had to be expanded on post submission draft, and Karis identified it. Hey, this is good, but you're missing this, or what does this mean?
Mm.
And so when you go back after a review, and the nice thing about working with Keris is a very thorough review, and a really good discussion about, well, did you capture enough content that it can be run by a keeper just picked off the shelf,
Yeah.
and is all of the content valuable? There's nothing in
Oof.
that, yeah, there's nothing in that. There's no wasted space.
Yeah.
And so, that's the exercise the editing exercise. Is that right, Karis?
Yeah, thank you. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Beautiful articulation and a way to celebrate each other. Just as somebody who does a lot of writing on commission, you're exactly who I would love to write for. Let me just get everything that I need out, and then you can redirect me later. But I love not having those guardrails or those stipulations where I can just breathe into the story that I want to create. And I know you're dealing with a creator like Drew. Like Drew's imagination is completely out of this world, so that's awesome. But then you're working with a support network like Karis that can actually go like, "Hey, babe, this is fascinating. But if we go this direction, we're gonna have to run that direction. Let's cut this off here. Let's put a guardrail here and read." Like, well done, team. Exceptionally well done across the board, team.
And to whoever asked that question, I would also say on the writing end of it, you've got to know when you're in a collaborative project like
Oof.
this,
Yep.
everything you write is not going to hit the page,
Yeah.
and you've got to trust that. You've got to understand that, yeah, you're sitting at your keyboard alone and you're pouring this stuff out, but you're still working on a team, and
Correct.
you've got to be willing to play along. Yeah. So.
Well said. Well said. All right, guys, this is a personal question coming in hot from Bridgett. So, Symphony, my horror gaming company, is actually getting ready to stream both of these books. Super exciting. So, I am hiring and sifting through GMs right now. We're getting ready to. The first AMA sold me. I was like, nah, we're doing this one. We're jumping in this one. Jason, you did an exceptional job in the very first AMA, and I know we're talking about Carcosa Manifest. I'm just going to articulate this very briefly about accessibility, onboarding, and who you didn't have to be in order to engage with Japanese culture and to explore and things of that nature. And that is a segment that I'm going to be highlighting when I send to my potential GM. Is like, hey, don't gatekeep yourself out of this. You don't have to worry about this one. Here, this literally coming from the production. Here's all you need to know. Jump into it. Have a good time. So my question is, when my GM is jumping into these games, what would be your individual? I'd love to hear from all of you guys. Recommendations. You've picked up the books. You're getting ready to start. Woof. What is the advice that you have to these keepers?
Um, I think that the first thing they want to do is decide which hook they want to use, which confidant they want to present, because you want your players to have some alignment. They have to have mutual interest, and they have to have a reason to pursue the investigation or investigations. And there's a lot of different options for hooks. Go read through them and look for one that really speaks to you, because that is the glue that keeps your investigators together and pushes them and down the rabbit hole, really.
Oh, okay. Okay. So identify the hooks that speaks most to you and then run down that path. Okay.
Yes, that's my
Karis,
advice.
Drew?
There are different confidants, whether you want a sort of grim gumshoe type police one, or a sort of more mystical game, or there are different sort of a sort of gosh, tell me, what were the other confidants? There were
There's the heiress, the monk, and the
oh yes,
police
the
officer.
heiress and
Yeah.
the police detective. So they all have a different flavour. And you could
Ooh.
end up with very different sort of runs of the campaign or runs of the game, depending on which hook you've got. Um, it's up to your player group what suits them.
That is
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. Just so Bridget completely understands here, is this is something that a keeper can look and be like, hey, here are your 4 confidants, which are your flavor profiles for the storytelling. Could you send those to your table and say, like, which ones you guys want to vote on this one?
Yeah,
On the front end of the campaign, that's something that the
you
table
can do
could
that.
decide collectively. Holy
Yeah, you
cow.
could do that. Now you've got to
Oh,
you really want the same confidant, because they give the campaign its flavor, right?
okay.
So you don't really want to mix and match the confidants. You just pick one
And then
and
go.
and go and run with that one.
Wow. Why to way to get upfront investment and buy into the story that you're getting ready to tell with your friends when you can choose the shade on the front end. Whoa, I love it. Drew?
I'm going to come at it from a different angle,
Oh, hit us.
because I think those guys just covered it brilliantly, those parts of it. Um, yeah, all right. So 1980s Japan, we're talking about a country that is 99% at that point ethnically Japanese. It's not that different today. It's what, 97% now. 3% of the population are, foreigners or people like me.
Hmm.
So I'm going to lean back on what my friend Chris Spivey wrote in Harlem Unbound, one of my favorite Call of Cthulhu campaigns ever, where he's basically just saying to people who look like me,
Hmm.
don't be afraid to try to play people of color.
Yeah.
Give yourselves permission. Be respectful about it,
Hmm.
but don't feel like if you want to play Japanese characters in this setting, don't feel like you're culturally appropriating them because the Japanese are themselves pretty relaxed about that. I mean, they saw Tarantino's Kill Bill and they were laughing hysterically at all of the people running around with samurai swords and all of this. I mean, they know the joke. But I mean, it's your table. What are your players comfortable with? Make sure everybody's comfortable, but don't be afraid to play Japanese characters is what I
Yeah.
would say. So yeah.
In that notion, I have a little quick, easy tip.
Please.
I work in a Japanese office and we're an international company. And so we've got a lot of Japanese. And for foreigners, sometimes you cannot remember the names or you mispronounce them. We use simple names. We have a Yoshi. That's a shortened version of a name, and we have a Nana and we have a Ken, right? What you should do, I think, once you have your character, give them, good Japanese names, but
Hmm.
figure out what their name is, and put it on an index card and put it out in front of you the very first time you play. You know, Hi, I'm Ken Ishikawa. Just call me Ken.
Yeah.
And for if you're not a native Japanese speaker, well, you don't have to be. And
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
there's you're not going to get it right. Even if you are a native Japanese speaker, you aren't going to get it
You're
right
right.
sometimes.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So just lean into that on
Um,
the front end and just to your point, give yourself permission and give yourself some grace.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and have a good time. I mean, this
Yeah.
really isn't that remote of a setting. It was the 80s. Some of us lived through the 80s. It's pagers
Cheers.
and
I
you
mean, not
know.
I, of course, but
Right, right, right,
But we know we understand the technology and frankly the social issues, the prevalent and competing social norms
right.
aren't weren't we understand them. It's work balance, it's
Yeah.
capitalism and consumerism, it's new religions, it's corrupt politicians.
Uh-huh.
I mean, these are themes that we really understand. You don't have to be Japanese to understand those themes.
yeah, yeah.
Right. Right.
And the fact that it's in Japan gives you the opportunity to explore something you might not otherwise explore.
Explore. Yeah. Yeah. This can be a learning process for you. You can enjoy and learn as you're on board. It's one of the beautiful things about playing cross culture. You get to see things from a whole new perspective. And there's a
Mm.
lot of
Absolutely.
value in that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. You guys nailed this one, honey. So we are at the final 5 minutes and we're going to be walking out the door. You have hit all of the questions that were submitted by our fans. Fans, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Let's do one more roundtable and let's do the same order of introductions. We'll start with Karis, we'll hit Jason, and then we'll close out here with Drew. Final thoughts when you are thinking of the Sutra of Pale Leaves Carcosa Manifest. What are your final thoughts or final contributions or final things that you want to say in this AMA before we close it out? It can be anything.
I think this is a genuinely original take on the King in Yellow, and as he's my favourite mythos entity, yeah, this is just a delight. It's a delight to read, and I have friends who are already sort of getting ready to run it as keepers, and it's really exciting.
Stunning. Karis, I love your face every moment of every day. Jason, hit us, baby.
It's should be fun and go have fun with it. There isn't a right way to play it. Every way you play it is a right way. And there's a lot of flexibility here. And for keepers, my advice is, you're engaged in collaborative storytelling. It's not on the rails. It's not supposed to be on the rails.
Mm,
You're supposed to let your investigators investigate. And as that story blossoms, you'll get more enjoyment out of it. I remember it's a fun game.
Well
Yeah.
said. And
I'm going
Drew?
to say play around with identity because to me, the core of this campaign, it all comes down to identity. The,
Oh.
the Pale Prince wants yours. And
Mm.
this is a society. Japan is a society that struggles with identity. We've got, you've got a culture where 97% of the people all have the same color hair and relatively the same color eyes. And like, for example, the university I teach at, the kids are not allowed to color their hair. They can't bleach it blonde or pink or whatever because it's considered inappropriate and it's not uniform. So there's that kind of theme of identity in the culture, but it's also core to the King in Yellow, I think, and definitely to this version of the King in Yellow. So, and we are playing characters. We're playing
Yeah.
around with identity. So go into it and just have fun with the theme of identity, I think. Yeah.
Drew, you looked me dead in my face and told me that this game is about identity and the king in yellow wants yours. That was chilling.
He wants yours. He wants yours. He's a pale after your identity. Yeah. So yeah.
Chilling. Oh man. I love every opportunity I have to speak with you, Drew. You really are a damn delight.
Well,
Guys, that has been our AMA for Call of Cthulhu Sutra of Pale Leaves, the Carcosa Manifest. You can check out our YouTube for the previous AMA, which had Mike Mason and then Jason, who was our other guest from the Suns on that one?
Jesse was
Jesse, and
with us.
Jesse was on that one. And it was equally as brilliant with a lot of approach, support, guidance, teasers, inspiration, and just a lot of things that you can use to kind of dive into this content. Karis, I love your face. It was a pleasure having you on. I'm so glad that we got you this time. I love Mike Mason, but I also enjoy spending time with you. Drew, Jason, thank you guys so much for coming in. Please continue to follow our socials over at Chaosium. I'll hop onto the Ab Chaos newsletter, and you will be seeing the additional AMAs that I have coming down the pipeline. It's kind of hard for me to date these at this point because we're not doing them live anymore. So I'm just going to say, continue to follow us online and you will get more. Guys, I am Bridgett. I'm your community coordinator. Family, thank you so much for joining me. For you guys, I feel like it might be somebody's afternoon, somebody's night. I'm going to go get another cup of coffee because it's 9 o'clock in the morning for me. Mwah. God, I need to disable that damn setting. Tribe, we
yeah.
appreciate you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.